Hi, everyone. Here at Ojai Presbyterian Church, we are doing daily devotionals for all of Holy Week. And Jeff has been talking with you all over the last couple days, and I am so excited to get to speak with you all over the next couple days. And this morning, I want to look at a passage, one of my favorite passages, actually, from the life of Jesus. It's called the Garden of Gethsemane. And we've been working our way through Matthew 26, which is the gospel writer Matthew's account of the last few days of Jesus' life. And we're at Matthew 26, 36 through 46. I hope you will check it out later. But this passage, the Garden of Gethsemane. And like I said, it's one of my all-time favorite passages of the life of Jesus because Jesus seems so real to me in it. So human. It's this very raw, emotional passage. And, I think if most of us are honest with ourselves, it's kind of hard to read that. We want to jump ahead to Easter and to resurrection, to bunnies and eggs and frilly dresses and family get-togethers and ham for everyone. But I think it's worth sitting with this passage this morning. Because like I said, in this passage, we see a Jesus who experiences loss and pain and suffering. And as much as we would love to jump to Easter, you can't have Easter without going through loss and pain and suffering. You can't get to Easter without going through the cross. And this passage exemplifies for me some of Jesus' experience of loss and pain on our behalf. So the story starts out, Jesus has finished the Last Supper with his disciples, and he takes a few of them and goes to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray, and he tells them to stay awake as he goes on a little further and he prays. And his prayer is basically this, like knowing what's to come, if it's possible for that not to happen, God, that would be great, but not what I want, what you want. And he goes back to his friends, and they are asleep. He's alone. And he goes back and he prays again, and he goes back to his friends, and they're asleep again. And so he prays a third time, and yet there's this transformation in the course of Jesus' prayers. They change in tone to not could this change, but acceptance. Your will be done, God. And it's interesting to me that it happens 3 times. It reminds me actually of the passage that we started this journey of Lent with Ash Wednesday so long ago. We talked about the passage of Jesus being tempted in the desert by Satan. And in that passage as well, there are kind of 3 temptations or 3 tests. And we talked about how those experiences, the time in the desert, was meant, like Lent, to prepare Jesus, to prepare us for what God has next. Now, I had no idea how true those words would be, but here again, these 3 prayers seem to be preparing Jesus, making him ready for what's to come, the cross. And this story is called the Garden of Gethsemane because it's supposed to take place in the Garden of Gethsemane, but that word, Gethsemane, means olive press. And the process of pressing olives into oil is a 3-part process of squeezing and pressing the fruit to get the juice out. And I can't help but feel like we are in a pressing moment, that we are experiencing loss and challenge and struggle, and yet, regardless of what pain or suffering we are experiencing, Jesus knows what that is like. He knows the agony of feeling alone. He knows the frustration of not being able to change his fate. He is experiencing sorrow and all of that, the pain of the cross on our behalf. And as we walk through this Holy Week, maybe experiencing it through different eyes this year, through a new experience of suffering with Jesus. My hope is that we might be like him in that process. That the suffering is for the sake of others, that through our living, we might reflect the grace and the love that we have experienced in him that gives us new life on Easter morning. Jesus went to the cross and died for us. We might suffer for a little while, but we can do that because of him, because we worship a God who knows, who's felt, who's experienced all of that and more for us. So I hope that brings you a sense of comfort this Holy Week. And I hope that it helps you to live out the love and the grace of God, that others might see and experience him through you.